there is a social hierarchy amongst every single group, and this hierarchy normally dictates who's the group leader and the order of importance throughout different members. However, this hierarchy isn't always apparent, especially in more distinguished friend groups where people are more equal in value and you see people who are kind of at similar levels in life. For example, if all of these people are jacked and social and all have the same amount of income, then most likely there won't be as much of a divide, so you won't really notice a group leader or not, and most people will see themselves as around equal throughout the friend group. That's one of the many things I've learned throughout my time of learning to socialize. I went from being a complete loner to now being able to talk to anyone and make friends on demand, which is a pretty cool skill, and if you want to learn it, check the top link in the description. So, besides just the social hierarchy, if there is a huge divide between different members of the group, that tends to lead into a group leader who is normally like the social person of the group, and this group leader normally sets up most of the events. You know, you can imagine the one guy in the group who's like the instigator. No one really is inviting everyone to different activities. He's like the main guy, and whenever he wants to do something, he's like the big daddy of the friend group. All of you revere him, and he's like the one guy who's inviting everyone to certain events. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean he's inherently better than everyone else in the friend group, though a lot of times it can be. What it does mean though is that he's kind of like the glue of it. He's the one setting up the events. If it wasn't for his presence in the friend group and him wanting to hang out, then the group would kind of crumble. The members of the group wouldn't hang out as much, they wouldn't be inviting each other, because they'd all kind of just be waiting for him to invite each other to the friend group. And you want to avoid this. You want to be in a friend group where every single person there is like social and an instigator and sets things up. And that just really comes down to caring. You need to care enough about the friend group, about hanging out with people, not staying inside locked in your room playing video games like a loser, to the point where you can actually stand up and just say, guys, do you want to hang out and do this? Now, there's a specific way you word it. You should say, I'm going to do this, join me. Because your life should already be fun. And then you can invite people to that same fun life. That's how you want to set up your friend groups. Rather than having one specific group leader who's like the daddy of it and everyone reveres him and looks up to him and everyone else does nothing. You should all be social enough to invite each other and actually care about the group, obviously, right? Isn't it extremely disrespectful, to be honest, if you don't even care enough about the group, about these other human beings who you're interacting with, to the point where you literally don't care enough to set up an event with everyone else? I think that's very rude, so you should care about it to some degree. So you need to be the guy who's setting up events. And I'm not saying people will always join you, of course. Depending on the group, some people won't join you. But it shouldn't really impact your schedule. You basically just need to be like, what do I do in my life that's fun? Okay, well, I go to the gym. I guess I could invite the boys to that. Yeah, guys, I'm going to the gym at 5 p.m. Come join me. And then some of them may decline, but one or two may actually come and join you, and you all hit this fun workout and your bond together deepens. That's what you want. It was never meant to be one guy who's like the governing figure of the friend group and everyone else is some sort of peon. It was never meant to be like that. So you need to stand up. And I know it's going to be difficult because you've never done that before, but that's the only way to make it so you aren't relying on a specific person to invite everyone out. Besides just this, in a specific type of friend group, because there are different types. There are friend groups where it's like the average friend group. There's one leader, there's all of these peasants. And then there's the other friend group where people are kind of more equalized. The value skew isn't as great. In these types of friend groups here, normally, everyone is social and everyone is inviting each other to events. So this problem doesn't really happen. Even if one of the members maybe isn't inviting somebody out, there's still events going on, which I think is very cool. Because then, one day maybe you're really busy, you can't afford to hang out with your friends. Then the next time you hang out, they're all telling you about the sick story of when they were hanging out. And it kind of gives you motivation to like work harder so next time you aren't missing these events. Kind of like FOMO, but in a good way if you actually take it in the right way. Rather than taking it as, I'll work less so I can hang out with them and miss my work. Just need to take in the energy in the right way and deflect it in the proper direction. When I was going hiking with my friends, I noticed something. A lot of the conversations that happened during the hike happened in these little subdivisions. So you'd expect if you're on like a group, you're all of you, like let's say you're on a group of 4, all of you are just talking together. But what often happens is that rather than every single person talking, and I'm not saying that can't happen, I'll get to that later. Rather than every single person talking, it happens in subdivisions where it's kind of like 2 people are maybe walking in front and they are talking, and 2 people are walking behind and those people are talking. That's something that often happens. It's very rarely every single person in the friend group walking together and talking, because then it's just all of this jargon and barely anyone can hear each other. Especially when you're all walking. A lot of the time it's kind of like 2 people are talking, maybe there's many conversation at one place, there's other many conversation. That's what often happens, just because it's kind of tiring to talk with a huge group. There's all of this jargon, there's not really as much space to actually talk. It's a lot easier to have these deep, meaningful conversations when it's like when there's 2 people and it's just a one-to-one. So you'll naturally find yourself in those types of situations. Again, this is just my experience from the friend group that I personally made. But again, it could change depending on the friend group. Though, again, I'm not saying there can't be any group conversations. It still can happen. And when these happen, you'll notice a lot of the time it's not like there's all of these different people talking and it's just all of this gibberish and you can't hear each other because there's so much, it's too flooded. It doesn't happen. A lot of the time you'll notice there's just one person normally talking, and then maybe like the focus is on him. He's telling a story, people are paying attention to the story, and then all of the other guys in the group are kind of like commenting on the story, making jokes, laughing about it. But it's normally not like the focus is on multiple different people at once, just because it kind of gets flooded, difficult to understand and hear. That's what often happens. So if you want to win these group conversations with your friends, you need to have stories to tell. You need to be interesting, because the focus won't be on you if you have nothing to say, will it? Why would people pay attention to you, Mr. Loser with no life experience, when they could listen to the other guy who's jacked and has tons of stories about how he almost died? That's way more interesting. So you need to go out and live your life. What do you normally do in your life that could give you experience? Because if you find that you're just living this repetitive, mundane, boring life, of course you aren't going to have life experience. Of course you aren't going to be interesting. You need to try and live a life. Genuinely, go outside, touch some grass, go to a place you've never been before. Could be a little dangerous, that's the point. Now, I doubt you'll die, don't do anything stupid, but you get the point. Do something you don't normally do. Have you ever been hiking? No? Go hiking then. Maybe you'll almost fall off, maybe you won't. You never know. Have you ever done kickboxing? No, then do it. I've gained kickboxing experience. Look at my past video. I literally have a video on the lessons I've learned about women in kickboxing. There are so many stories you can get from these things that seem unrelated. If you go to kickboxing, you don't expect to learn about women, but I did. It's so unrelated, it's so weird, but life just rewards you that way. You just need to jump at every opportunity you can possibly get. So take them, live your life, do something new every single week. more if possible. Go to a new place, do something new, go to a new event, and of course you won't always have money for this, but you can still do things for free. Bro, free, there's public transport nowadays where you can literally go for free. It's crazy. You're never really limited. Let me see. Yeah, joining into the group. So sometimes somebody will try and join the friend group, they'll see it's fun, they'll want to join it. And a lot of the times, you'll categorize them into this outer territory. This outer friend group. You have the inner friend group composing of the main people in it. This normally consists of maybe 4, maybe even 5 or 6 people. These are the people you fully trust. You could literally give your credit card to them. They wouldn't abandon you. If you don't have this, then those aren't your friends and you need to make better friends. And again, social protocol, I'll cover that later. But it's a community of people like you, and those are people who are most likely trustworthy. Top link in the description. So when somebody tries to join the inner friend group, what happens is that you don't really know them. You all don't really trust them as much. And normally it's one person trying to invite them to the friend group. So maybe one of your friends in the inner friend group has another friend who she's trying to invite into the friend group because he thinks he's kind of cool. All of the people in the friend group are kind of judging him. Who is he? Is he a cool guy? They are asking these vetting questions. And this is where it gets kind of complicated, because it's very difficult to invite somebody into your friend group because you risk your own reputation. This is networking 101. People are kind of afraid to invite people to their friend group. If I met somebody, I wouldn't immediately be willing to invite him into my inner friend group, because if that guy makes a bad impression or he fucks up, my friend group is going to respect me less. Why did Prince invite this loser to the friend group? No, kick him out. Why is he here? He's a loser. It impacts me if he messes up. So I need to be careful about inviting people to it. You need to be careful as well. This is how it works. It's a game. So there's a huge level of trust that needs to be earned before you can have a friend invite you. You can have a friend invite you to the inner friend group. But once you get there, what will happen is you'll normally get categorized as this outer friend. And you need to, I'd assume, use manipulative tactics in order to actually get into the inner friend group. I know it sounds bad, it sounds, manipulation, it sounds horrible. But I'm just telling you the truth. This is how it works, this is the game. If you want to join a friend group and it's quite tight-knit, you need to prove to them that you aren't playing around and you're also trustworthy. I'm making this sound like it's some sort of mafia, but it's not. It's just friend groups, bro. If you join the friend group and you're really respectful and you're asking about everyone else and you aren't just talking about yourself, and maybe you have some interesting stories and you're fun and you have similar values, there's a higher chance you'll be invited into the inner group, where then you'll start getting invited to events. And of course, once that happens, you're kind of already in. That's how I'd assume you joined the inner friend group. Now, of course, there are some that are more tight-knit. It's very difficult, of course. But it certainly can happen. Especially if you're the instigator, the guy who's curating the event, and you aren't the social dweeb hoping somebody else invites you. So you basically join it by making everyone else feel good. Look, read the 48 Laws of Power. It's a book. It teaches you exactly how to do this. You basically just need to make them feel good, feel like when they are around you, they feel more proud of themselves, more happy, more boastful. And of course, they'll associate those positive emotions with you. That's how you join it, I'd assume at least. So this is what I've learned about friend group dynamics in my time doing this. I'll probably learn more throughout my time of being social. I have a huge future ahead of me. I may change my opinions, but as of now, this is what I've learned. If you want to learn to socialize so you can actually join friend groups and make friends with people who are actually trustworthy, I recommend joining the social protocol. I kept talking about this, but I never went in depth. The social protocol is a framework that gets you from level 0 of social skills to level 2, where you can talk to any man at any time, no matter what, rather than being this like level 0 weird social NPC. You can't talk to anyone, you're a little awkward, and the idea of going up to some stranger on the street and talking to them makes your heart literally beat faster. When you get to level 2, life becomes a lot more saturated and vibrant because, well, you're at a level where now you can actually make friends. You don't need to ever struggle again with loneliness. You aren't stuck with those like friend groups that you made in school that literally disrespect you. You can leave them, you can make new friends who are more trustworthy, who are more like you, and you don't need to suffer any consequence because now you're good at this. I often hear people who maybe start on the self-improvement journey. They start working out, starting business, and then they realize all of their other friends have distanced themselves from them because now they don't have similar values. They are different. There's a divide. But the thing is, then they have this loneliness period. They can't make any friends. They are lonely on this path of improving themselves simply because they can't talk to people. They aren't social. They don't understand how it works. When you are the type of person who can make friends, you will never struggle with this loneliness period. But that's just one step of the equation, right? Because you can learn to socialize, you can make friends, that's all good and all. But again, you don't want to be making like untrustworthy friends who would betray you. You want to step above that, brotherhood. People you can literally trust with your life, who would fight and put their life on the line for you. And of course that's very rare, but there are people like that. How do you find that? Well, of course they'll need to probably really be like you and really respect you and revere you just like you would to them. But how do you find people like you who are not only going to the gym but also working on business and also trying to improve their social skills and also trying to become healthier and maybe start eating healthier and going to sleep on time and also not doing the bad habits like playing video games and also doing all of this and all of it's so you're doing so much. How do you meet people like that? That's why I suggest the social protocol. It's the best place because it's not just a course. It's a community of people like you. You can literally meet people with the same values, the same mindset, the same goals and aspirations and pursuits. You can meet people like that, which is extremely, beneficial to you, right? You don't need to make friends with people who you don't respect. You can make friends with people who are like you, who have similar values. You can literally be on the community, look on the maps feed to see, this guy is near me. How about I ask him for a workout and we can meet up and hit a workout and see how it works out. An easy way to make friends who you respect. I hope this video helped you. Check out the social protocol. Remember, consistency is over a lifetime. Bye-bye.